Hey, this is Prokopis from Effective Music Practice, and today I want to talk about a subject that's kind of a sore spot for many players. It certainly was for me in my early years of my journey in the world of improvisation. Most players, when they try to learn how to improvise, will sooner or later begin to learn scales, either through memorizing box shapes or through a more intelligent system like SFS. But either way, after you learn where the right notes are and you know a scale on the fretboard, there's a question that always pops up. What do you do with it? How do you combine these notes to make melodies? How do you go from playing the scale up and down to being creative and improvising musically? Some try to answer this question by learning licks, and there's nothing wrong with learning licks. There's a lot you can gain from practicing like that, but it's not the most effective approach for overcoming this challenge I've just described. Sure, you may be able to fake your way through a couple of solos, but how many licks are you going to learn? At some point, you want to be able to compose your own licks, or even better, improvise melodies on the fly. I remember when I listened to great improvisers play seemingly endless melodic lines, lyrical melodies, or shredding through amazing flurries of notes, and wondered, how do they get all that out of a single scale? Well, it turns out that this ability, although it does take a lot of work, is not such a huge mystery after all, as long as you break it down to the smaller fundamental skills that make it up. And that's what we do with the linear freedom technique. Linear freedom is a practice strategy that covers all the skills that are required in order to be able to master this ability to freely make music using scales. In this lesson, I will walk you through a list of these skills, and then you'll be able to download my free Linear Freedom crash course, watch more specific lessons on them, and practice these techniques on your own. I used to give this crash course out by email, but I have added so much stuff to it, which makes that impractical. Instead, you can get the Gumroad package using the link on this page and download the lessons or stream them using the Gumroad mobile app. The Linear Freedom crash course is kind of like the light version of my premium Linear Freedom course. The premium course goes very deep. It's like 35 videos, I think, and a bunch of PDFs, and is very detailed and goes up to a very advanced level. So I guess that's not for everyone. But the crash course version has a lot of good material that can benefit you greatly, and it's free, so everyone can try it. So let me walk you through what's involved in mastering scalar improvisation. First, I'm going to show you a few examples of me using this technique, and then I will give you the list of the fundamental skills involved. These are demos from my SFS courses where we study specific scales and specific improvisation tips. But the underlying technique in my playing, the skill that allows me to freely move through the scales so that I can apply all that, is the linear freedom technique. So let's see what goes on in scalar improvisation. The list I'm going to give you is definitely not exhaustive. There are infinite small things you can add to your playing beyond the ones I will give you here. But these are the big ones. You get this down and you're on your way to great things. The first few items on this list have to do with muscle memory that you need to build. The first one is the most obvious. It's being able to play up and down the scale in a stepwise fashion. But we all know that this kind of practice does not necessarily result in creative playing. Most people who just practice their scales up and down end up sounding like they're playing an exercise all the time and can't really break out of this boring up and down thing. Nevertheless, you do need to have this skill, and on the guitar there are technical challenges that need to be solved in order to get fast and comfortable playing your scales, especially if you attempt to pick each note at high speeds. So that's the first thing we deal with in linear freedom. The second thing we need to learn is to be able to change direction on any note of the scale. That's where most people miss it. And when I discovered this, it was one of the most important keys that helped me and later my students go to the next level. You see, it's tempting to take this skill for granted and never practice it. But there are ways to target this specifically, and when you do, you become able to really mix things up in your scales. Now, I'm playing kind of fast and non-stop so that you can see the freedom you can get with this. But it goes without saying that if you can play freely at high speeds, then it's even easier to be melodic and lyrical at slow speeds, at least as far as muscle memory is concerned. Of course, at this stage, this is not music yet. You need a few more elements till you get there. The third item on our list is injecting the interval of the third into your linear playing. The third is close enough to a step that it can become a very natural addition to the way you move through your scales. There are specific ways to integrate this into your playing, and the result is that you can get lines that are more interesting than if you just used pure stepwise motion. I will play a random line now at a relatively low speed, and you should try to catch how my linear playing is enriched by the use of thirds. The fourth step is to add larger intervals. Larger intervals are like exotic spices in food. You can't use them too much most of the time, but when you do use them, they can really spice things up. Again, I have a step-by-step system for doing that, and I include some of that in your free package. The fifth piece of the puzzle is being able to control all these skills by ear. Now, all the exercises in Linear Freedom help you with that, even the ones that are not ear training exercises. That's because as we isolate all components and practice them, this gives your ear the opportunity to learn their sound. This is again something that you don't get by playing licks or solos or scales up and down, because when you do that, the information is just too much and your ears cannot retain it. But in addition to the natural ear training that takes place, I do include ear training components in Linear Freedom as well, and these can help push you to the next level. When your ear learns to control your playing, you will become truly free and creative. You won't need to depend on licks or anything else. You will sing melodies in your head and they will automatically flow out of your fingers. Of course, there's some work involved until you get there. This is not for lazy people. But then again, Linear Freedom is extremely effective and brings quick results, so the work may not be as much as you think. As I said, the free crash course below is not as complete as the premium course, but there is a lot of stuff in there and can take you a long way. The Gumroad package is priced as name your own price, so if you feel like you want to be part of the team and help me make more and more lessons, you can add any amount you want there. I guess this is my version of crowdfunding. But if you don't want to, that's perfectly alright. Just put a 0 there and you'll still get the complete package. I mean, I have been in situations where spending even $5 was tough, so I understand, don't worry about it. Just enjoy the lessons and maybe give me a like on YouTube or something. On the other hand, if you are at a place in your playing where you do want to invest in going very deep with this, you can get the premium course, or even better, become a monthly subscriber with a Practice Partner subscription and get unlimited access to all my premium courses. You can find details for that below. Anyway, thanks for watching, enjoy the lessons, and feel free to drop me a line on Facebook or by email or in the YouTube comments if you have any questions.